Good morning. As we start the new year in what could be Joe Biden's last year as president, and frankly, it should be his last year as president, and it's not because of the failed Afghan withdrawal or the fact that he never visited East Palestine, Ohio, or Waukesha, Wisconsin, or inflation that hit 9% last summer, or his 33% approval rating, or the economy, or DEI, or Kamala, or the fact that he's spent more time on vacation than any other president in his first 3 years ever, or his age, or Ukraine, or Israel, or the hostage crisis in Israel, or China, or Russia, or cocaine in the White House, or fentanyl, or even what seems more and more like a massive Biden crime family syndicate that began when Joe was vice president, starring Hunter Biden as the bag man and Joe Biden as the big guy. All that stuff matters, and it will all play a role in what ultimately brings Joe Biden down. But nothing matters more than what's happening right now at the southern border. What we've seen over the last 3 years at the border has never happened before, and the consequences will impact and change America forever for the worse. And if you disagree with that, you're either in denial or you work at the White House. Over the last 3 years, Joe Biden has allowed more than 7 million people to cross into America illegally. And when we see the images, we're not seeing families for the most part. We're seeing single, military-aged men who don't have jobs. They don't have a plan for employment. They don't have money, education. Most don't speak English. Many don't even speak Spanish. To put that number, 7 million people crossing the border illegally, into perspective is really hard. It's impossible for anyone to get their head around a number that big. So think about it this way. Ellis Island in New York was open for more than 50 years. And during that time, 12 million people passed through and migrated to America legally, which is really important. They came from all over the world legally, families, children. These are the people that built the country into what it ultimately would become, a dominant world power. Joe Biden's border has been open for 3 years, and in that time, 7 million people that we know about have crossed illegally into this country. More than half the number that Ellis Island saw in 50 years. Think about that, illegally. Not legally, all illegally in Joe Biden's America. And you wonder why crime and homelessness are rising everywhere? What do you expect people to do? After they arrive here, after they're put up in hotels and we cover it on the news, and they get cell phones and care packages, after they get to New York or Chicago or Portland, Maine, what do you think happens next? Sure, some find low-paying jobs, mostly paid under the table, but what do you think really happens? Most have nowhere to go, nothing to do, and that's just a reality. It's a reality that Democrats want to pretend doesn't exist, but it's a reality that leads to crime and homelessness and a taxpayer-funded system completely overwhelmed. Do you remember when the media accused Donald Trump of putting kids in cages and how everything Donald Trump did was inhumane? Compare that to images like this, what we're seeing today. What's happening at the border today is so bad. It's so shockingly bad and inhumane and beneath any shred of human dignity that we've all become completely desensitized. But this has become the issue of our time. This is the one single issue that should and most likely will bring Joe Biden down 10 months from today. And Joe Biden didn't inherit this problem, despite what the White House continues to say.
It ebbs and flows, and we're at a time of the year where we're seeing more at the border, and it's not unusual. This is an immigration system that has been broken for decades, and the president has taken this very seriously to try to do more.
Joe Biden created this crisis. And back to Ellis Island just for a moment. So many families, including my own, trace their roots to that time period, and families take a lot of pride in it, and they should. What an amazing story. Do you think that anybody today is going to take pride in images like this? The answer is no. It's sad, and this will not end until voters put an end to Joe Biden next November.